Good afternoon. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Mary Grace. This is Mary Grace TV, and you are watching live on many, many platforms. We are on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, X, Instagram, everywhere. And as you're watching, I just want you to drop a comment, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, follow, like, do all the things so that other people can see that we're live. And then if you come back for the replay, we really, really appreciate it if you leave a comment at that time as well, like, follow, subscribe, and then also make sure you're on my mailing list, marygracemedia.com. Go down there, join the list so that you can get notified when we have shows coming up or when we repost. That's the best way to get the notifications. So say hello to us. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what you think of the content. And if you have any comments, questions, feedback, et cetera, et cetera, be nice because this is like a volunteer labor. So just be nice. Okay, I've got with me today Andrew Sorchini. Andrew's coming to us from out on the left coast, Beverly Hills, precious metals, and we're going to talk a little bit today about gold and silver. It's really kind of an exciting time to be learning about this and to be aware because things are really happening. Tell us what's happening in the world of gold and silver right now, Andrew. Welcome back.
Well, we've been super busy since the last time that we came on, and this year, silver has blasted off. It usually trades within about a $21 per ounce to $25 per ounce range, and it broke out of that, and it's currently at like $28.50. If silver could break through $30, it could run all the way to 50, just like it did in 2011. And for gold, I mean, gold's sitting at $2,335 an ounce. And to put things in perspective, 6 years ago, gold was only at $1,300. So it's up over $1,000 in 6 years. And 20 years ago, gold was at $416. So it's really taking off where our dollar buys less now than it used to, but gold can help offset that and counteract the buying power that you lose with the dollar.
It's really interesting. And I think one of the biggest questions I get with people when it comes to gold and silver is what can I actually do with it? And you specialize in helping people really move large sums of money into gold and silver. Can you explain that and why it's an advantage right now to do it? Just explain what you do, what you specialize in, and then how that helps and why people need to do that.
Sure. So our primary goal here is preservation of capital. So most of the people that invest in stocks or real estate, like that's all the money that they have in the world. It's everything that they worked their entire life for. So this is not something to be taken lightly. And from about 2008 to about, I would say the end of last year, the stock market just went straight up. Like it doesn't matter what you bought, it went up. If you just bought it and held on to it, you made money. I even saw that one company, it was a father and son company that were selling like used cars. Their stock went down to $4 a share a couple of years ago, and now they're both billionaires. So stocks have really, really, really taken off. And this year they've been choppy. So that doesn't mean weather the storm. Typically, if you're a younger person, let's say you're in stocks and the stocks are up, and there's a correction like tend to happen about every 7 or 8 years, except for the last cycle. Stocks will go down like 40%, sometimes even 50. And you just hold them and you know that it's always going to come back. But when you're retirement age, you might feel that you don't have enough time to wait for the stock market to rebound. That's why it's a good idea for you to put those funds into gold and silver and let the storms pass, so to speak, and then go back into stocks. So this isn't a permanent move. If you invest in gold and silver, it's not like those funds stay in gold and silver till the day you die. It's just a good store of value. It's a conversion of currency until you find a better use for them later.
Mhm. Interesting. Okay. And so you're talking about people who have an IRA, for example.
Yes.
How does that work when you have an IRA? Is it yeah, is it legal to do that? Are you gonna get hit with a tax burden if you move something out of your IRA into physical gold or silver? Can you explain that?
Sure. So precious metal or IRAs can be converted into a precious metals IRA. even most 401ks can, as long as it's at a company. Let's say that the 401k was originated at a company that you no longer work for, then it definitely can be rolled into
Oh,
a precious metals IRA. And same with any traditional or Roth IRA, those can be rolled over. Now, if you're watching this podcast and then you go to your financial advisor and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about rolling over my IRA into a precious metals IRA," they're going to tell you that it's a taxable event. They're going to tell you it's a terrible idea. And if you convince them that you like gold and silver, they're going to say, "Well, you don't need physical gold and silver. There's other gold and silver products that would work better for you." And what they're really telling you, if you can read between the lines, is that we don't deal in physical gold and silver. We don't want you to go elsewhere to get physical gold and silver. So we'll tell you anything to keep you, um,
mhm,
to, for you to leave the funds exactly where they're at. And this happens all the time. And
okay.
so it's a non-taxable event. And if you wanted to do some research on Google, all you would need to know is that any retirement account can be rolled into a new retirement account as long as it's done within 60 days. After 60 days, it's a taxable event. So you could literally close out your IRA account, have them send you a check, go spend that money. I wouldn't advise this. You could spend that money, and as long as you could
Yeah.
replace it within 60 days and then put it into another retirement asset, it would be a non-taxable event. So
Okay, that's really helpful. I
yeah,
think I love the way you explain that. That's so good because I think there's so much mystery and fear around it. And an advisor, like you're saying, who has a vested interest in continuing to get commissions off of your IRA or your 401k is not going to tell you, they're going to tell you to keep it with them, right?
exactly. And
Okay.
to even expand on that beyond your financial advisor, we had a client that did a $300,000 order recently that went to the bank to wire the funds, and then the bank was just like, "No, precious metals are fraudulent, and we will not send this wire for you." And the client was flabbergasted and went home and immediately called us, and we just told them that this is what the banks do. It's not like your banker is a bad person. They're being told from up top to keep those funds and do what you have to do to keep those funds in the bank. The banks are in a lot of trouble right now. We've had one bank failure already this year.
Yeah.
Last year we had four. And if you Google bank failures 2024, you can see a list of a couple hundred different banks that are on the ropes right now. So as soon as that starts happening, there's going to be more runs on the
Mhm.
bank, and the banks, they know this. That's why they're fighting back. The client did end up proceeding with the order. They do, 99 out of 100 times, but it is a little scary when you go in. You're strong. You know exactly what you want to do. You walk into the bank and they tell you this is bad. This is fraud, but it's
Right.
not. We're in a society where the current climate is that you keep all of your money in the centralized banking system, and that it's going to be safe there. But really, it's not necessarily safe there. It
Yeah.
might be safer in your own hands.
It reminds me of what we went through with sort of the medical sector, with, certain medical professionals telling you, "No, you can't do this. No, this is bad for you." And now we kind of understand that there's an agenda and that they're telling you certain things because they stand to lose a lot if you go somewhere else and do something different and you take proactive measures to protect, in this case, your money, right? It's a lot like that. That's
It
what I'm
is,
seeing.
and I often equate it to like I like to watch a lot of old movies, and you watch these
Okay.
movies with like the mafia boss and the
Yeah,
guy that lives in the neighborhood. He's in a lot of trouble. He needs money really bad. He
yeah,
goes to the mafia boss, borrows the money, and now the mafia boss owns that person and can make them do anything that they want to until they feel that the debt is satisfied. To
right.
me, that's what the government and the banks have done, because the government bailed out the banks in
Mhm.
2008 and 2009, and now the government owns them. You will do everything that we tell you to do, and we're partners from here on out. Shortly after that, they came out with the Dodd-Frank Act, which is a very broad set of rules that govern many different investments, and it was designed to protect Americans from like a situation like what happened with the subprime loans that hurt a lot
Mhm.
of families. So the
Sure.
Dodd-Frank Act changed us from depositors in a bank to creditors. You can Google this, you can look it up. Before, when you opened up a bank account, you were a depositor. So you had the rights of somebody that deposits money into a bank. But now you're a creditor, which sets it up to where if a bank goes under, that you would likely be lucky to get pennies on the dollar if the bank was bankrupt. So um, it's a completely different climate, and I wouldn't keep too much in the banks right now.
Wow, that is so interesting. And so, going back to the investments, for example, in the bank. So we talked about IRA, we talked about 401k. I didn't even think about what you said before. If you left an employer, and this happens a lot, people start a 401k, they're at a job for however many years, and they accumulate the money in the 401k, the employer matches it, and then you leave and that 401k is just kind of sitting there. People tend not to think about it. Maybe they check the balance once a year. They get a statement from the manager of the 401k. But you're saying it's kind of like an orphan 401k, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can move it over, and that's a perfect time to move it and roll it into physical gold and silver. And and in order to avoid getting taxed on it, tell us how they get where is the gold and silver? Because it, like you said, if you spend the money or you keep it at home, then you get taxed on it. So what happens to a retirement account when somebody comes to you and rolls it into physical gold and silver so they don't get taxed? How do you safeguard their physical
Okay.
metals?
So here's how it works. There's actually three entities involved. So first, there's an IRA custodian. So you might already have an IRA or a 401k, and let's just say that it's at let's say that it's at Schwab. Okay, you've got a Schwab IRA or a Schwab 401k. Then you would need to set it up with an IRA custodian that does precious metals IRAs. And the one that we use is Equity Trust Company. So that's the first of three entities that make this possible. The second is that once you have funds in a precious metals IRA as cash, you'll need to make a precious metals purchase. So you need a broker to do that. So that's where we come in. Beverly Hills
Okay.
Precious Metals, me and my whole company, we assist people in acquiring physical gold and silver for cash purchases and IRA purchases as well. Then the third entity is that you need a storage facility. And the one that we use is in Delaware. It's called Delaware Depository. It's the largest of its type. That's where the bulk of our company inventory is stored at. It's
Got it.
safe, it's insured. I've been with them for more than 15 years. So I trust them. We use them to ship orders for us right out of our inventory to clients that make purchases. So those three
Okay.
entities work together for you to have the precious metals IRA. You cannot store it at home. If you did, it would be considered a distribution.
Right.
So, so you
Right.
can, a lot of people out there, they live out of their retirement accounts. They might take like 5,000 here or 5,000 there, or 3,000 every month. Whatever dollar amount that you need, you can still get that out of a precious metals IRA. So
Okay.
if you're rolling over, say, $200,000, you might invest, say, 180,000 of that into gold and silver and leave the other 20,000 as cash. And then over time, you take distributions out of the cash portion of it.
Got it. Got
If
it.
you exceed that and you need a distribution, you would then sell us back a small amount of the metals and turn that into cash to allow for you to have a distribution. And we help with all that paperwork. The fees are about $200 to $250 a year. Actually, it's about
Okay.
225 a year.
Okay.
So it's not bad at all. The storage is $100 a year, which is included in the fees already.
Okay. Wow.
And
Good.
it's $100 a year regardless. We have some people that have millions of dollars in their retirement account
Mhm.
and they only pay $100 a year. Some people have it 15 or 20,000 worth of metals there and it's still $100 a year.
That's okay, that's a really good explanation. And so this is great, especially for people who are like 50 and above who are not able to handle risk in their accounts right now. That's really what you're talking about. The younger people in their 20s, they can weather the storms. But anybody that's, 50 and over, has worked hard, accumulated these accounts, and is thinking about, maybe retiring sooner rather than later, even if they can't access it yet, they don't want it to tank. And so you guys are going to help them. You're going to help them protect that. Um, the other thing I wanted to ask though is sometimes people just have a lot of cash in the bank for different reasons. And you just explained that the banks are really in trouble. So, what is an option for somebody that has money in a bank? Give us a scenario where somebody has money in the bank and is really worried about what's going to happen to that money.
Oh, I've seen a couple of them just in the last couple of days. So like, so one of them here, the person that reached out, they're calling regarding investing $100,000 for gold and silver, and this is an inheritance that they just received.
Okay.
So so they're just rolling over, or actually not rolling over. They want to do a cash purchase of 100,000.
Okay.
They've, when you're getting an inheritance, if that's ever happened to people out there, when you know you're getting it from that time to the time you actually receive it, you start thinking of all the different things that you could do with it. And when it is in hand, you're a little confused. You're like, hey, which one of these options should I do? But so you just have it deposited into your account. Now you've got a couple $100,000 in your checking account that wasn't there before.
Yeah.
That's a nervous feeling when you go to sleep at night. If you turn on the news and you're hearing about all this bad news, it's always on there. You
Yeah.
go, geez, I need to get that out of there, but what do I put it in? And gold and silver are a great scenario. Another one that I saw earlier this week is a lady that had recently sold a rental home that she owned. So it was a
Mhm.
second home for her, and she sold it. There's a big chunk. It was $635,000 sitting in the bank account,
Wow.
and it made her nervous. She's like, "I've got to get this out of here," but it doesn't make sense to have the cash all brought to my home because it might not be safe
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, I don't want to buy gold and then have $635,000 worth of gold at my home either."
Yeah.
So we set her up with a storage option. So for people that are making purchases of any size, and if it's not within an IRA, you can set up a storage account at Delaware Depository as well. It's not $100 a year for a non-IRA. It's a 0.5% of the value of the account.
Okay.
So if it's
Mhm.
$100,000, then it's $500 a year, and it's
Okay.
billed biannually. So it'll be about $250 every 6 months, and
Okay.
that's a good option. It's insured against acts of God, theft, anything that wouldn't be your fault, and
Yeah.
and it's a great option. But yeah, if you've ever had a big chunk of money or something that's a big chunk
Yeah.
to you
Yeah.
in the bank account, it's not a good feeling, especially in times like we're in now.
Yeah, I can see it'd be really scary. So that's a great scenario. Sold a home, inheritance, life insurance settlement, right? That's one where somebody suddenly that's kind of an inheritance, but a finite sum of money that's all of a sudden in your bank account. Um, and that type of thing there's all kinds of things. Some people are just good savers and they're saving and they have, 6 figures in a money market or a checking account, right?
Yeah.
Um, would you I mean, what would be the better scenario? Keep it in there or put it in gold or silver? It just based on everything you're saying, I know the answer, but what would you do?
Oh, for me, I would. You definitely need some cash to be able
Yeah,
to buy things with, and
yeah,
your day to
yeah.
day needs. But I would get the bulk of it
Okay,
and put it somewhere else. Definitely gold and silver, and that's
okay,
where we come in. We not every person's strategy that reaches out to us should be the same. So here's a
right.
couple examples. Let's say that somebody did just sell a rental home, okay, for 635,000, and now they know they're not going to buy anything right away, but the plan is eventually to put that back into real estate. So with that person that might need to access those funds in the next few months or a year or a couple of years, we might want to recommend gold for them because gold moves up slowly over time, and there's not a lot of downside risk. So if you were to invest in gold today and then sell it back to us a year from now, chances are you would sell it back for either the same or more.
Mhm.
If it was less, it would just be a tiny bit less, and most of the time that doesn't happen. But with silver, Silver has big swings in either direction. It can swing up 20% over a month or down 20% in a month's time. So when you're in silver, you never want to be thinking short term. So silver would be good for somebody that has an IRA, and let's say they're 50 something or in their early 60s, and they don't anticipate needing those funds for a while.
Mhm.
Then you give silver time to do what it does.
Got it.
Silver, it's a minimum 2 to 5 year hold, but
Mhm.
silver is definitely more popular than gold because it can double or triple in price easier than gold can.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that with my silver.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting. It's like, "Oh, wow, okay, this is exciting." But, so this is really good. I wanna recap. Okay, let's just recap. Who is a good candidate to call you guys, to call B or to go to bh-pm.com and, let them know Mary Grace sent you. You guys do have a phone number here. What's a good candidate right now that should pick up the phone and call you 866-346 uh 5325 866-346-5325 or go to bh-pm.com. Who needs to call you today?
Oh, anywhere from the small investors all the way on up to the large investors. So here's an example of some of the smaller investors. If you're afraid of the dollar collapsing, which the dollar is very close to being unseated as the world's reserve currency, cash as we know it is likely going away. We'll probably go to a central bank. It's a central bank backed digital currency that's backed by gold. So when this happens, you're not going to need cash anymore. So in case there's a problem, if you would like to have some privacy in what it is that you purchase, you should have a little bit of gold and silver at home. So for the little deals, I would say anything 5,000 to 10,000, get a little bit of gold, a little bit of silver. For the larger investors that are non-IRA, reach out to us soon because gold's about $100 under its all-time high. It hit the all-time high about a month ago, and it's probably going to shoot beyond 2,500 an ounce, closer to about 3,000 really soon. You can
Mhm.
see there's a lot of problems happening in the world. We're in
Yeah,
the middle of an election here, and in a few months we'll find out who the next president's going to be. There's going to be some people that are happy and a lot that aren't. I think we've got a lot of work to do here in the U.S., and I'd rather be protected. And gold and silver are considered a type of insurance, and
good,
that's
good.
what we need right now.
I have another question quickly that's kind of I don't know if it's related or not, but there was an article in the Wall Street Journal last week about President Trump has a team of advisors that are looking into taking over the Fed. Um, is that did you see that? Are you familiar with
I have,
that
yes.
story? What does that mean? And then how can it affect investors
Well,
in like 30 seconds?
oh, sure. For people out there that might not know that the Federal Reserve is not federal and it's not a reserve. So it's a private company that helps manage the Treasury, and it's like it absolutely should be taken over by Trump's presidency and made to be federal and made to be a reserve and made to have gold. So I'm a big proponent of that. And just to wrap up the final part of that 30
Yeah.
seconds, Trump did say in an interview last year that if the dollar were to be unseated as the world's reserve currency, that loss would be greater than losing any war. So we are in a financial war right now because we're going from fiat currency to a digital currency system. It's actually already started. So you need to own gold because you'll be in on the ground floor.
Wow, that's encouraging. I think
Yeah.
that's a good spot to leave us today. Andrew Sorchini, Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange, bh-pm.com. Just give them send them a message. There's a consultation. They have teams that can answer. Even if you're brand new to this, guys, if you just, there's no bad question. Just fill in the form, tell them where you are. Just say, hey, I'm a seasoned investor. This is what I need to know. Or I'm brand new. I'm worried as heck. I'm not sleeping at night. I need to know what you can do for me. They have a great team over there. They can help you figure out the best steps for you. Andrew Sortini, thank you for being here today. It's always a pleasure, and enjoy the sunshine out there.
Well,
Take
thank you
care.
so much. I hope to be back soon.
It's wonderful to have you. Thanks. We will see you guys back on the next show. Stick around and listen to a little bit of a word from our sponsors. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. We've got some other guests coming on very soon here, and we will get those lined up and we'll get a message out to you. So remember to get on my mailing list, marygracemedia.com. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Leave a comment, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and get the content out. If you know somebody who's worried about their IRA, if you know somebody who's sitting there worried about their money in the bank and what's happening to banks, send them this broadcast. There's a lot of noise out there. There are a lot of people who are advertising gold and silver and all kinds of crazy things. And Andrew's team is is a team that has been vetted, and so we are bringing them to you because of the trust factor. All right, we will see you back here soon at Mary Grace TV. Everybody have a great afternoon. Stick around right here to hear about our wonderful partners at Mary Grace TV. Thanks, guys. Listen, your health is your best investment. We have a country to save, and we need people who are in the best shape of their lives, physically, mentally, spiritually. Why not connect with a team who cares about you on every single level from the inside out? Official Synapse is that team. Officialsynapse.com. It's official, synapse.com. Tell them Mary Grace sent you, and they will treat you like family. If you're like most people, you really probably haven't thought about transferring your paper dollars into physical gold and silver. But I want to tell you a story. My friend Andrew Sorchini over at Beverly Hills Precious Metals, he recently went overseas and he wanted to buy a watch. He likes fine watches. He took 3 currencies with him. He took gold, he took Bitcoin, and he took American dollars. Now, there used to be a time when the American dollar was king. I remember that when I used to travel overseas. Everybody wanted dollars. The people that he was dealing with would not take his dollars because the dollar is so devalued around the world. They wanted the gold. So this is what I recommend to you. I want you to think about this. If you have cash in the bank, if you have an investment account that you have worked hard for years to accumulate, consider the value of converting that money into physical gold and silver. You're not buying something that's losing value. You're changing those worthless dollars into a tangible physical asset that will go up in value, which it has done historically. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to bh-pm.com. The first thing you're going to do is schedule that free consultation. Second thing, just think rationally about this, pray about it, go to the Lord, see what the best decision for you and your family is. I can't tell you that. I don't want to pressure you into that. What I do know is don't be scared, be prepared. And so the third thing you want to do is make a decision for you and your family. Make a decision, take action. bh-pm.com. Let them know Mary Grace sent you. When it comes to food, we really want to be aware of what is in the food that we're consuming. And that includes different types of technologies, jibber jabbers, technology that can alter your genetic makeup. And this is why we want to focus on American grown beef that isn't injected with things that you wouldn't put into your own body. We really don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We saw 4 years ago what happened when the whole country shut down and people couldn't even go to the grocery store. We saw what happened when meat and other foods were rationed, and that could happen any day. We want you to be prepared. We want you to take action. And one of the best ways to do that is to secure food for yourself and your family. What better way than to go to griddownchowdown.com, use promo code Mary Grace, get a sustainable, reliable, shelf-stable source of high-quality American beef. All you do is go to griddownchowdown.com, tell them Mary Grace sent you, put your order in the basket and check out, and you're good to go. The other thing you can do is you can get a subscription. If you do a subscription, you're going to get this freeze-dried beef delivered to your door every month. And you're going to save a little bit while you do that. You're going to stockpile it, or you can just cook with it. Some people are just using it for their regular cooking. It's really up to you, but it's super convenient because it's freeze-dried and it's shelf-stable for 12, 15 years or more. Go to griddownchowdown.com and use promo code Mary Grace. I just want to give a shout out to everybody who watches this show. Thank you for being a participant. Thank you for being a loyal audience member. I just want to remind you, if you like what you've seen, please share this and don't forget to subscribe, turn on your notifications, and also sign up for my email list so you never miss a show.